today I wanted to talk about all of the lessons I learned and that I would like to share after completing my first year of university. I am an education student, but I have taken a lot of non-education courses like biology, psychology, math. So I feel like I have really grown as a person, and I just wanted to share some of those key lessons that I will be implementing in my life and throughout the rest of my university experience. So obviously the first one that I wanted to start with is kind of beating a dead horse at this point, and you will probably see this in every single video ever. Go to sleep. My mom always told me that I should go to sleep instead of staying up to study because I won't be able to do very well on the test if I'm not functioning at the point I would be if I had gotten a full night's sleep. But I never listened in high school, and I would just stay up till 2 a.m. and then I wouldn't even remember what I spent all that time trying to cram, and it was just not a good situation. And I think of this year I really had more opportunities to study in the day, and I realized what a difference it made. I needed at least 1 hour before bed where I was not doing schoolwork, and it totally changed my grades, my mindset, and just how I felt. Sometimes if you really haven't studied, the best thing you can do is sleep. That leads me to my second lesson, which is take advantage of when you learn best. For me, I learn best in the morning, but not the early morning, right? So I am a very big believer in you don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. to be a productive person, because a lot of toxic productivity really talks about, oh, okay, I'm gonna wake up at 5 a.m., I'm gonna do my workout, I'm gonna do all these things so that I'm basically so productive the whole day. But the truth is those people can't be productive the whole day, because that's just not feasible. Your body cannot be productive for 12 hours in a day at like maximum productivity. But you can use the time of day that you are most productive, which for some people, maybe getting up at 5 a.m. is the best thing that they can do for themselves to get work done. For me, I'm like a more like 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., that kind of point of the morning I work really well. By the time I hit around 3 p.m. I notice there's a major decline in my productivity, and this does have to do with my coffee schedule, but I normally try and save my coffee for noon. It just depends. So using coffee to your advantage can like help with this. I know a lot of people like to lag their coffee, so they're predicting that when they're not gonna be productive anymore, that coffee is gonna kick in. But that's a little complicated for me. I just know that I can sleep in whatever, I can do whatever I want in the morning until like 9 o'clock hits. And those days that I have where I can do that, have a break when you're no longer productive. So when it hits 3 o'clock, I'll be like, I'm done. Like my time is better spent doing something else. And maybe I can revisit it later in the day, but it's just important to schedule your study time around that. And I definitely found I got so much done in my productivity hours because I was dedicating pretty much every day to giving myself that time, and it cut down my studying time. I did not need to spend 8 hours a day studying, because in 4 hours I got a lot done. Because normally as a procrastinator, and in high school my schedule only allowed me to study in the evenings unless it was the weekend, and I found that that did not work for me. But now that I can manipulate my schedule more, I noticed that I just get a lot more done in less time. But if working the evenings works for you, maybe like trying to work your life around that so you have free time then. It was really helpful for me. Okay, the third lesson that I learned, and I really learned this in my second semester, is get chatty in class. So the people who you sit next to, even if you end up sitting next to a different person every class, could be so helpful. I remember the first day of my psychology class, I got 2 phone numbers, and I ended up really using those. And I wouldn't say we became friends, but we definitely like would rely on each other for school-related things. And it's just really important to have those little connections in the course, even if they're not your friends. But also in the spring semester, I learned that if you do start talking to the people next to you, especially if there are people who you're consistently sitting next to, I made really good friends this semester, and that was just by talking. I thought that if I talked to someone in class, that relationship would be over by the time the course was over, which did happen in the fall, and it does happen. Some people are only meant to be there in your life for a season. But with other people, you know, it might be more than that. And sometimes you have to have those relationships that don't last, but keep trying to get to those relationships that will. And I think that I was hesitant to start talking because I was like, if I want to make friends, then I should be doing these clubs and stuff. But I was just too nervous to go to them. But that's not the case. You can totally talk to the people in your class. I talked to the people in my lab, and very nice people. Really learned that I need to be more social in class because those can really form great relationships. Okay, the fourth lesson I learned was, it's a little contradictory, but it is in fact to get out there and do some things. I definitely didn't, you know, attend as many clubs or events as I really should have, but I did go to a few little events, and it was a really great opportunity to talk to people, and I ended up meeting someone in one of these little events for my faculty. You know, those are connections I still have, and I'm super grateful for that. Okay, the fifth thing that I learned was that I can play around with courses and I can have fun with it, I can experiment, because in high school I started taking courses that I didn't even need and I hated because I felt like I should take them. That was dumb. I ended up dropping out of French 12. Don't want to talk about that. But this is again something that my mom told me that I should play around, and I'm super grateful that I did because I ended up taking courses and I was like, wow, I love this. And I never thought I would, and I probably never would have taken it. You know, I never took psychology in high school. I took psychology in university. I loved it. I'm doing a minor in educational psychology, hopefully. But I would not have known that if I did not try out some courses. Same with biology. It's really important that you do that, especially in your first year, and I am so happy that I did. I struggled with the spring semester because I was taking some courses that I did not love, and in the fall, all of the courses I loved. So I really got to see my performance change. I did way better in the fall than I did in the spring. Now there's other factors too, but I think the biggest factor is I just did not enjoy what I was studying, and therefore I wasn't even going to do good. Another lesson I learned was that technology is a friend, because I was always a hand note taker, and I still am. I still write most of my notes by hand, but I was just afraid to put my whole life in one piece of technology, and yeah. But I really learned that technology can be a wonderful, wonderful thing, and now I pretty much do everything on my laptop. Okay, another lesson I learned was that it is okay and I should be experimenting. So if you have always taken notes one way your whole life, it's the way you're most familiar with. For me, that was taking notes by hand, right? I never took notes on my iPad, on my laptop, anything else. And I still think it's great, but I really took the opportunity to do a different method of taking notes for the duration of an entire course. So for my Indigenous Studies class, I would take notes on my iPad with my Apple Pen. And in psychology, I would take notes on paper. In biology, I would take notes on my laptop. And ultimately, I learned that I have been taking notes in a way that was not actually most effective for me. Taking notes on my laptop sucked, but if I was taking notes on Quizlet, it changed my life, because when you take notes on Quizlet, as you're taking notes, you are picking out the pieces of information that you think you need, turning things into keywords, turning things into questions, which is a form of recall, a form of study, really effective, active studying. But you're also making your study materials for later. So you don't have to take your notes and turn that into study material. You can spend more time actually studying. And I found that it was super effective. It really, really helped me, especially in my biology course that had a lot of heavy terminology. But don't be afraid to change up your technique, and ultimately it's going to help you in the long run. And it's okay to take that time to try out different methods. Some might not work, but if you have the opportunity, learning that stuff in the early stages is just going to make it easier as you go throughout your education. And so I'm definitely going to be implementing that. All right, so the last thing I learned is that you need to develop a work-life balance to avoid burnout. For me, what that looks like is setting boundaries for when it's okay to be working and thinking about school and when it's time for myself and to do things that I enjoy. What that looks like is working during my productive hours and doing stuff that I enjoy when I'm not in that time and making sure that I structure that in. So if I am planning out my day and I do not have a large block of time dedicated to myself, because sometimes you need to put that in your daily schedule, time to relax. And that was really hard transition for me going from high school, because I just had this mindset that like if I'm at home, I'm working on school. And again, that comes with being more limited in your time, right? You're gone from 8 to 3. And then, some people have after school activities, and, some people go to school even earlier than that, and you just are so tired. At least I was. It's like a quote. It's like, if you don't make time for your wellness, you'll be forced to make time for your illness. And that is something I'm still learning. I would not say it's a lesson I have learned. It's still something I'm learning, but it's something that has definitely changed how I feel mentally when it's a priority in my life. I think that it's so important to take care of your mental health before you take care of your academic standing. And again, still something I'm learning, but it has really changed my relationship with school. My whole identity is not rooted in that I am a student. I am a person who happens to also be a student. Yeah, I don't know if this makes sense to you or if this resonates with anybody, but I think that this will be good to look back on later for myself. But these are kind of lessons I've learned, and also kind of advice I would give to somebody who might be going in their first year of university. Yeah, I think it's very specific to that first year of university, and also everything's dependent on your situation. I think ultimately everyone has to learn these kinds of lessons on their own. This is just what I learned. This is just personal to me, my experience that I had. Thank you so much for being here and listening to me ramble, and I hope that you're having a great day. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another vlog hopefully really soon. Bye!